Hey, what's up, everyone? Morey Croson here, and today we're going to be breaking down Sha'carri Richardson's weekend and going into her both beating Shericka Jackson as well as her losing today, or coming in second today. We're not really losing, and we're going to start the video right now. This is the newest edition of the Performance Lab. Reach your individual goals. You don't want to just talk about straight line speed. We also want to talk about your ability to be quick. We break down your video. Let's make you into the quarterback I know you can become. Okay, so the big thing I want to really talk about today is, I'm just kind of upset overall, and I feel like the marketing and distribution here, just because, over the past couple of years, I think a lot of us have become a fan of Sha'carri Richardson. She's been doing a lot of really, really impressive things, especially for her size. Just 2 days ago, Sunday, she beat Shericka Jackson, who is, in case some of you guys don't know, and I'm sure if you're watching this video, you already know, Shericka Jackson is the defending world champion and somebody that is probably the favorite to be the world champion this year, and is regarded by many as the fastest woman in the world. And so, and really so far, Sha'carri Richardson has beaten her twice. And so she ran 10:76 literally on Sunday to beat her. She was coming from behind. We can see here on the right, she's coming from behind to be able to beat Shericka Jackson. Really second time that she did this, and just a super, super impressive run. And then today, she ran a little bit earlier. Sha'carri Richardson ran, and she lost to Julian Alfred, and she ended up running 10:97. And to me, I think that there's getting a lot of negative marketing around this whole thing because she came in second, because she didn't win the race, but she ran at 10:97 2 days after running 10:76, which to me really shows that she, while I don't want to say that the athletes are not trying to win every race, I believe that they're trying to win every race, but I don't think that she had as much, let's say, motivation to run a great race here in the 10:97 as she did when running against Shericka Jackson in the Diamond League. And I think a lot of these track and field athletes, as many of us know, it's not a sport like the NFL or the NBA where they're signing these huge contracts. A lot of their revenue comes from their participation and from sponsorships and things like that. And so I think she's really just participating in this more so because she needs to from a sponsorship perspective. In my opinion, she's probably looking at it much more from a business perspective than she is from a performance perspective. And, because she did such a great job with the 10:76, right? And it's while it's not impossible, it's one of those things where you don't want to be overtraining yourself. You don't want to put yourself in a position to potentially get injured. And let's really break down this 10:76. Let's look a little bit deeper into it. And what really stood out to me here was just her a great ability to be patient, right? She does a really good job of being nice and horizontal here while she's not necessarily utilizing her quickness really well. I think she's really trying to reach and really trying to open up and get herself into a good solid drive phase, where Shericka Jackson on the opposite end of the spectrum here, she does a really, really good job of being both quick and opening up very, very quickly, but she might have popped up a little bit early. So we've seen this in the past where when you look at data, you could see that as you are getting into this position, if you have a really distinct kind of head pop up type of action, like how Shericka Jackson did right there, it will actually slow you down a little bit. It's better to have a little bit more with what Sha'carri Richardson's doing, which is to have her chin down and kind of slowly rise up as she's getting into her top speed. And now you could see once she gets into her top speed, now she could really allow herself to be able to open up. And so while Shericka Jackson popped up a little bit earlier, maybe got to her top speed faster, what Sha'carri Richardson was able to do is stay with that drive phase, stay patient through that drive phase, and it made her so then she was able to reach a higher top speed and actually win the race. Okay. And then we looked to earlier today, a similar situation here with Sha'carri Richardson. I think she did a pretty good job. Really, the first step was good. It looks like here she actually lifted up a little bit early, right? We're looking at this one here. So she got her head up a little bit earlier in this one in comparison to what she was doing here. She stayed a little bit more patient. So that's her second step. We could see where her head is. She does a good job on that first step, but you could see how she's kind of lifting up a little bit more on this this one with her head in comparison to this one. She's staying a little bit more downward. And then, and I see this a lot, sometimes people will realize that they're lifting up a little bit early, and then they try to like sink their chin back down, right, to try to correct it. But the thing is like, you can't really do that here. You have to just really kind of roll with it, right? If you make that mistake, then you make that mistakes. But you can see like she's definitely not in any big hurry to like correct this, or is not feeling stressed out or anything. She's really just staying pretty patient through her drive phase, kind of working into her top end speed. And when she gets to her top speed, I mean, she ends up beating, TT Terry. She ends up really catching up with Julian Alfred. I mean, again, she just ran 1076 2 days ago and then ran 1097 here. I think Julian Alfred won with a 10.9 flat. And so I don't think that it should be really headline news that she's losing, but I understand on the marketing perspective that people are trying to really put a lot of hype or whatever behind her coming in second, which, I think is a little bit unfortunate. I think she's really doing, especially the comeback that she's had, right? We all saw what happened and what transpired over the last, couple of years. And to see her be able to succeed and flourish on the way that she has been, I think has been very awesome and very great for it, especially for women's. I mean, I almost feel like right now the women's is getting the same or even more hype than the men's in track, just because there's so many great women that are competing, and especially, I mean, Sha'carri Richardson, just because of how she is from just as a person, right? She's kind of similar to, if I could compare it to like a UFC Conor McGregor type, right? Where all of a sudden just she has that personality and that way to be able to really attract people and get people to watch her. And, so she's really getting a lot of attention. Sports, a lot of times her videos are, and even for me, like, every time I post a video on her, I get way more views. And if you go online and you look up these types of videos, you could see that she is really doing well for the sport in terms of how much views, how much interest she's getting, which is great. Again, I mean, I think it's great for the sport. I'm a big fan of track and field, and I just would prefer, I guess, and I understand like the marketing side, I obviously use the marketing as well for YouTube and the clickbait and things like that. But at the same time, you want to be able to use it as a way to build people up, and I feel like put more of a hype around what she was able to accomplish with her beating Shericka Jackson. And while she came in second, like, let's talk more about Julian Alfred. Like, why does it got to be Sha'carri Richards comes in second instead of Julian Alfred wins the Guali Memorial is the event that we're talking about here. But some people like to really prey on people's downfalls, and obviously that type of wording and that type of headline is trying to do exactly that. So hopefully this breakdown helps you guys out. If you are interested in finding out more about what we do, you can go ahead and click any of the links down below. We do a lot of stuff to help people out when it comes to speed development and understanding what you need to do in order to run faster, right? Like, what are the key metrics that you want to be able to look for? What are the key things that you want to be able to really do when it comes to your start phase, your drive phase, and your top end speed? And by really getting specific into the foot contact times and the distance per step, because at the end of the day, speed is, and if we can define speed as one particular thing in the most simplistic way, it'd be how fast can you get from point A to point B? And in order to do that, right, in order to get from point A to point B, there's really three components. There's going to be the time that you spend on the ground, right? There's going to be the time that you spend off of the ground, and then there's going to be the step, right? How many steps did it take you to get there? And then within those steps, how much time were you on the ground? How much time were you off the ground? And by just being able to quantify that and understand that, we can get a much better understanding of where you are on the spectrum of being able to run fast. So once we can kind of define that, now it gets a lot easier to be able to say, okay, based off of that information, we need to really focus on you getting maybe faster out of your start. Maybe, you look the block start. We could even break it down even into further kind of blocks there, where it's like, okay, how well did we run the first 10 meters, first 50 meters? Was there a part in there that really stands out as a time that really had a impact on your overall performance? And then getting specific into, what was that? Was it the contact time? Was it something that we did while the foot was off the ground, or the transition phase? Was it just not picking up as much distance as we should be? Do we get too much into, or do we stay in our start phase too long? Did we get to our drive phase too quickly? Or did we get out of our drive phase too quickly? There's just so many things that you can really go into once you start to create some objectivity behind it. And that's what we're trying to do within our speed program, is really make it so there's very objective outcomes that we're looking for. So then when it comes to your development, it's very specific and we can track, are you actually faster? I think a lot of times people just go through just kind of like a general track and field program or a general sprint program without really understanding what it is that they're working on. You're not going to get faster just by squatting more or just by running a lot. You have to be very specific in what it is that you're training in order to actually get the specific speed that you're looking to actually achieve. So as always, guys, thanks for watching. Again, check out the description, like the video, subscribe. If you have any questions, comments, or recommendations, you can leave those down below. We'd be happy to answer any questions you might have about our programs. And again, thanks for watching. We'll talk to you soon.